This is The Sports Life.
Clark does stay in the game, gets the ball, weaves through some traffic, and will just hold it, and that'll do it. The Hawks will rock and roll to Cleveland, Ohio, and the Final Four. 94-87. The Hawks over the defending champs, the LSU Tigers.
And welcome into the Sports Life. We'll team in here along with Dalton Shetler. A little flashback as the Iowa Hawkeye women's basketball team heads to the Final Four. Powered by Caitlin Clark. Heard the sounds of Rob Brooks, the voice of the Hawkeyes. And what a year they had and what a career Caitlin Clark had at the University of Iowa. Well, it's basketball. That was great for the Hawks, but football is coming up. And today we're going to take a look at what may or may not happen with Phil Steele.
It's going to be a lot of fun. It should be an exciting Big Ten football season. We're going to cover it top to bottom, all 18 teams. We'll talk about all of it and what's to come with Big Ten football this year.
Well, Dalton, what about the sounds of the week?
Well, as you heard there, that Caitlin Clark clip, that actually came from 2024. Of course, they went to back-to-back Final Fours. We relived a little bit of 23 in last week's show. That's 2024. So let's stay in the year 2024 as we continue to count down until kickoff of the upcoming Big Ten football season. In 2024, a lot of good things happened for the Big Ten Conference. Why don't we stay on the hardwood floor for a moment, because the Purdue Boilermakers exorcised demons of long past in Purdue men's basketball history. They made it to the Final Four, snapping a drought of 44 years. Here's what that moment sounded like with the voice of the Boilermakers, Rob Blackman.
72-66. Zach Edey has scored 40 points, a career high. He also has 16 rebounds. His second foul shot is no good. Left it short. Tennessee with a chance. 12 to go in the game. Now 11. Ziegler, a three from the deep left wing is short. Rebounded by Fletcher Lawyer. Tennessee will not foul. And wouldn't you know it, on Resurrection Sunday, the Purdue Boilermakers have turned the doubters into believers. Believe this, for the first time since 1980, Purdue is headed back to the Final Four.
We did it, baby. Final Four. Your Purdue Boilermakers, how sweet it is.
Rob Blackman, I thought we lost him there, Dalton.
No kidding.
I thought he was done for. Wow, Zach Edey, 40 points, 16 boards, and he does it in an Elite Eight game. God, that guy was good, wasn't he?
Yeah, he sure was. And they needed every one of those buckets and boards. Tennessee, that was a classic of a game, but Zach Edey and Purdue was just not going to be denied that day.
Can you imagine, though, the ridicule they took, losing the first game the year before to a 16 seed, to come back and get to the Final Four? I mean, kudos to those guys, because I bet their year was a lot of fun, especially when they got home.
What a storybook season that was for Purdue. Hey, let's switch over to another crowning moment, really, in Big Ten sports in the year 2024. The 24 football season saw eventually, as they turned into the winter and into the college football playoff, the king of the mountain be the Ohio State Buckeyes. And here's what that final call sounded like as Ohio State defeated Notre Dame for the national championship.
And 14 and 13. Notre Dame will get on the ball, looking at second and long.
Taking a while to spot this.
It is taking a while. 7 seconds left. Notre Dame trying to hustle the line of scrimmage. 4 seconds left. 3 seconds. Leonard gets the Irish on the ball. Leonard gets the snap. Back to throw Riley Leonard. Rolls to his right at his 20. Leonard sails that middle of the field where it's caught by Greathouse. He's tackled at the 40. Tackled by Jordan Hancock, and Ohio State, national champions, beating Notre Dame tonight. 34-23, the 9th national championship in Ohio State history. A team that got into the playoffs, and they played angry and determined. And they give Ryan Day his first national championship.
Paul Keels, the voice of the Buckeyes, talking about a redemption for not only Coach Day but the Buckeyes. As we think back, while they are national champs, second in a row for the Big Ten, They also lost to Michigan that year.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. Well, when we come back, we're going to look at 18 teams getting ready for the Big Ten season with Phil Steele in just a moment.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Dad. Did you get a new haircut or something? A new shirt? You're looking good.
What happened?
A little fender bender?
How little?
A few days in the shop little? But thanks to Mom and our agent, we've already submitted a claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto Owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Sounds like simple human sense.
I'm fine, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna ask.
Ask your independent agent if Auto Owners makes sense for you.
Every kid deserves a chance to feel safe, to have their own bed, to be loved and cared for. That's why I love my foster parents. They make me feel like part of the family.
Raise hope and foster dreams for one of 13,000 Michigan children in foster care. Visit michigan.gov/hope for a home or call 855-MICH-KIDS. That's 855-MICH-KIDS. Sponsored by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services and the Michigan Association of Broadcasters.
Do you hear that? That's the sound of uncertainty lurking under your hood. You know the feeling. I know I do. That sudden sinking sensation when you see a check engine light or your car unexpectedly breaks down and you're faced with sky-high repair bills. It's time to shield against unexpected repairs with CarShield. CarShield is America's most trusted auto protection company and has an A rating with the Better Business Bureau. Don't let the fear of a breakdown keep you up at night. Trust the Shield, CarShield, and say goodbye to terrifying repair bills and hello to peace of mind. Your plan also comes with 24/7 roadside assistance, courtesy towing, rental car options, and so much more. Don't wait till it's too late. Call CarShield now before a breakdown. Protect your wallet. Protect your car with CarShield. Get our best protection ever. Call now. You'll thank me later. 800-965-1292. 800-965-1292. That's 800-965-1292.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Roxanne Watson is on a mission.
Hello, how are you doing today?
She wants more people to register as organ, eye, and tissue donors.
Are you an organ donor?
Yes, I am.
Yay. My goal is to sign up the most people in the United States.
What drives her? Roxanne's own life was saved through the gift of a heart transplant, made possible by an organ donor.
I decided that day that I was going to devote myself to the cause of organ donation and signing people up and honoring my donor by doing that.
Now she's back to health, and she's a powerful force helping to save lives every day through her work. Imagine what you can make possible by leaving behind the gift of life.
8 people can be helped with the major organs, and up to 50 people can be helped with a little bit of everything. And when you think about it that way, that you could help that many people, it's amazing. It really is.
Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. We'll team in here along with Dalton Shetler. Well, it all began back in 1995 when Phil Steele put together a college football preview. It was in black and white, and here we are in color. We're printed, and it's a 32nd edition of what has become the Bible, if you like college football and trying to figure out what is going on. And Phil, thanks for joining us, and I'm always amazed how you write this thing and all the information. And before I ask you about the Big Ten in general, how long does it take to put this book together?
Yeah, appreciate that. Well, and by the way, that first issue was 188 pages. This one's 376. So this thing's a monster this year. But it takes a full 7 months to write this. I start the Sunday after Thanksgiving. I do my first write-through of each team, and I do write all 138 teams myself. The first write-through involves me reading through every article that's written about the team during the season. I get the ebbs and flows, not only of the team, but of every position. Then I write the write-through, which is what kind of shape was this unit heading into last year, what happened last year, and what do I expect for next year. The third part's going to change. The first 2 parts don't. second right through is spring, when we get the rosters, we add in the transfers, the freshmen, any deletions through the transfer portal, and that's updated. And then the third is after talking to the coaches. And this year I talked to 133 of the 138 coaches out there, going over the rosters with them. Calls generally take about an hour apiece, go over every player on the team, all the positions, and I finish off the third right through at that point. Finally put the thing out in June. We've got a staff of about 10 people that work with me, get all my pages prepped for me and everything, but it's a 7-month process.
That sounds like Dalton and I on the Sports Life.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Phil, you don't become the Bible of college football information for no reason or by accident. That's a lot of work to it. And, I want to ask you here, too, because somebody else right now that's on top of the craft of what they do, the Big Ten Conference in football, the last 3 national champions, when you look at Michigan, Ohio State, and Indiana, as we start to get into this conversation about Big Ten football and preview the upcoming season, where does the Big Ten stand in your mind, from top to bottom, given the fact that they've been able to bring home the ultimate trophy the last 3 years?
Yeah, they've got the possibility this year of a 4th different team bringing home a national championship in 4 years, which I've never seen in college football. That would be really remarkable. I think there's no doubt, if you look at the very top of the Big Ten, they are the strongest conference out there. Teams like Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon, and even teams like USC, Michigan, these are all national title contenders. So I think the strength of the Big Ten is at the top. The SEC, I do think, might be a deeper league. If you get down to teams 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, I think the SEC might have a little better depth. But I think the 2 conferences are right at the top. But you got to give the crown last year to the Big Ten once again, and 3 national champs in 3 different years, and 3 different national champs.
Well, Phil, let's talk about your preseason poll. We'll just start at the top. You've got 3 guys with the number 1 behind their name: Ohio State, Indiana, and Oregon. A lot of people think it may be the Ducks' time. They've been so close. So let's start off by talking about Oregon, a 13-2 team last year. Both losses to Indiana, ironically enough. But anyway, what do you think about these guys?
Yeah, and, fortunes really changed with Dante Moore turned down the NFL. I thought he was headed to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft, and then turns it down, opts to return. Then they had brought in Dylan Raiola perhaps as his replacement. To have him as a backup, it's the best quarterback unit in the country. You can't get much deeper than that. I like the running backs with Davison, Hill, and Price, and Ball. Tredarian Ball, the true freshman, I think he'll make an impact this year and also play a little slot wide receiver. And then the receiving corps was banged up last year, but now Evan Stewart's back. DeCorian Moore is a guy that's got track speed that missed a bunch of games last year. It's one of the best receiving corps in the country. Defensively, the entire defensive line is back. All 4 starters from last year, so they are loaded up front. And I also rate them the number 2 secondary in the country. It's a very dangerous Oregon team, one very capable. And now they've got that playoff experience. We saw the first year they stepped in, couldn't overcome the bye, and ended up getting beat in the first round. But last year, not only beat James Madison, but shut out Texas Tech in a impressive road win. And then, of course, came up short against Indiana. When you look at the schedule this year, the key games to me are 2 road trips. They do have to play USC on the road and Ohio State on the road. I think USC is a very sneaky team. Ohio State's a very tough out in Columbus. Those are 2 tough road games, but I think the Ducks are clearly capable of not only contending for the Big Ten title, but also the national title.
We should also note they have a new offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, both internal and promoted, but that might be an interesting dynamic to see how those 2 guys adjust.
Yes, definitely. And, they lose 2 guys that are now head coaches, very impressive coordinators. So, but at least Dan Lanning's still back, and Dan Lanning is doing an excellent job building that team.
Well, let's keep roaming around the giants of the Big Ten right now. Let's head over to Columbus, Ohio, where the Ohio State Buckeyes, again, national champs just a couple of years ago. They bring back the quarterback, Julian Sayin. They bring back, arguably, maybe the most talented player in the country in Jeremiah Smith at wide receiver. And they got a man named Bo Jackson in the backfield, which that's always a lot of fun and kind of plays into nostalgia. But this Ohio State team, it just feels like it is primed for a big season. And although they were national champs just a couple of seasons ago, Phil, they haven't been Big Ten champs in 6 years. Is this the time?
Yeah, that's a shocking stat. Have not won the Big Ten since 2020. I think they have the best offense in the country this year. When you take a look at Julian Sand, a Heisman candidate at quarterback, as you mentioned, Bo Jackson, 1,000-yard rusher. As always, the best receiving core in college football. And then the offensive line. I thought the offensive line last year was a little above average. This year, I think they're beyond that. I've rated them as my number 2 offensive line in the country. 4 starters are back. They are loaded. And you look at all those losses off the defense. But keep in mind, last year they lost a number 1, a number 2, and a number 5 draft pick on the defensive line. This year they only lose a number 2 and a number 6 off the D-line. Linebacking core is the question mark. They lose a couple of number 1s and number 5 draft picks, some really good guys. They also lose a number 1 and a number 2 in the secondary. So the back 7 might be your question mark. Linebackers is the main area of concern I have on the team. When you got the most explosive offense, an outstanding defensive line, and Lord knows they've got talent. They've got one of the best NILs in the country. They've got talent abounds for this team. Now, the one thing I want to point out, their schedule last year was among the easiest in the Big Ten. This year, they have to play Texas, Iowa, Indiana, USC, and Nebraska on the road. Those are 5 pretty tough road tests. I rate it the 6th toughest schedule in the country, but clearly if you've got the best offense in the country, you're contending for a national title.
We might add that Matt Patricia's done a heck of a job with that defense. I mean, scoring defense less than 10 points a game last year, Phil. I mean, if they can even hit that number with the offense you and Dalton just talked about, look out.
Yeah, and, you used to see those numbers, Will, way back like maybe 15 years ago. You'd see numbers like that. You don't even see numbers like that anymore. It used to be, maybe 20 teams held opponents to under 300 yards per game. Now it's very rare. So, Matt Patricia did a phenomenal job, 219 yards per game. But as mentioned, they do play a tougher schedule this year, so those numbers will probably go up a little bit.
You know what, Phil? We've got to start putting some respect on the name, the Indiana Hoosiers, defending national champs. And now it feels like in year 1 with Curt Cignetti, they made the college football playoff, and everybody was wondering, well, it's got to be a fluke, right? And then they go undefeated last year. They win it all. How are we supposed to grade Indiana heading into the upcoming season? Of course, Curt Cignetti's still there, but the Heisman Trophy winner is now the number 1 draft pick in the NFL, going to the Raiders. They bring in a transfer at quarterback in Josh Hoover. What can we expect from IU in this season?
Back to a legitimate title contender. And, quarterback is your question mark, right? But I'm going to go back to my first conversation with Coach Cignetti way back at James Madison when they were moving up from FCS to FBS. They just lost their all-conference quarterback. He was the league's player of the year. They had really no experience at the quarterback position. They're making the move from the FCS to the FBS. So I asked Coach Cignetti, I said, it looks like quarterback's going to be a little bit of a struggle. He said, Phil, I have a first-team all-conference quarterback. Everywhere I've been, I'm going to have one this year. And I thought, whoa, this guy's pretty confident. And guess what? He had a first-team all-conference quarterback that year. So I started listening to Coach Cignetti with whatever he said. And then, of course, his famous speech that he made when he took over the Indiana job. So when I asked him this year about Josh Hoover, said that Hoover's in about the same place Mendoza was last year. Now, he is not 6'5" like Mendoza was. He's more like 6'1", but I think you're going to see Hoover cut down on the turnovers, which plagued him at TCU, because he's got a better run game to work with and a better defense, doesn't have to win the games out there. They bring in Turbo Richard from Boston College, a running back. I love the addition of Nick Marsh coming in from Michigan State. Big-time pickup. I think Nick Marsh is one of the more underrated wide receivers out there. Charlie Becker really emerged once he started seeing the field last year. That's a dynamic duo. The offensive line's outstanding. They got 3 starters back. And defensively, top-notch. Love their tackles with Tyreek Tucker and Mario Landino. So this is a legitimate contender. And every year after I write the magazine, I go through the entire schedule, and I put my 9 sets of power ratings in. I look at situation. I look at matchups. I look at series history. And I come up with who I've got favored and who I have an underdog in the game. I don't have Indiana an underdog in any game this year. I do have the Ohio State game at home, October 17th, as a toss-up game. Other than that, I've got them favored in their other 11 games. Curt Cignetti will have them there. And only one coach has been able to overcome that bye week in the playoffs. It's been Curt Cignetti, and so that tells you a little bit about the coaching staff.
Nico Radicic only missed a couple field goals last year. How big might he be for them?
Oh, huge. And, he's money in the bank from 45 and in. And, he can hit from probably 50 with the wind. He could actually become the most accurate kicker in NCAA history this year if he has the same type of season that he had. So, this is a guy that is just automatic. Although, I will say this, in the history of writing this football magazine, I've seen some automatic kickers the next year. Look at Michigan last year. They had a kicker that was perfect. They also missed 7 field goals last year. But I don't see that happening to Radicic.
Well, so far we've talked about the Big Ten, and we've talked about Phil Steele's top picks to maybe win not only the Big Ten, but possibly the national championship. When we come back with more of our chat with Phil, we're going to look at the middle of the pack. But first a break. Back in a moment.
So, got one for you, boss.
Oh, yeah?
What's black, white, and dented all over?
I give up.
The company truck. I know, but thanks to our agent, we've already submitted an insurance claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto Owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Lucky for you, that's simple human sense.
Ask your independent agent if Auto Owners makes sense for you.
Here's a real-life story that affects 50% of all of us out there. It's called divorce. If you've gotten divorced and now you're struggling to pay your bills and your credit card debts are completely out of control, you need to call this special debt relief hotline right now. We help people with all kinds of money problems caused by different life challenges, a divorce, a job loss, even heavy medical bills. All these life events can sometimes financially stress you out and cause you to get out of control. We help people get their lives back by showing them ways to consolidate and reduce their debt, in some cases for a fraction of what they owe. If your credit card balances are more than $10,000, call us and learn how to reduce your credit card bills and monthly payments now. Here's our number.
Paid for by Debt.com. Call now, 800-810-1584, 800-810-1584, 800-810-1584. That's 800-810-1584.
That ought to do it. Totally energy efficient.
Oh, no, not again. This time, we're getting help.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the battle of energy efficiency improvements. In this corner, Mr. I can save money and do it on my own. And in this corner, Miss Let's Get It Done Right with some help. Fight!
Or you could just go to avoidenergydrama.com. From sealing your home to helpful loan options, you'll find all the tips and tools you need to stop wasting energy and stay comfortable. Avoidenergydrama.com. Brought to you by Michigan Saves.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Unlike other health concerns, mental illness is not always easy to see. Depression won't show up on an eye chart, and you can't measure it on your bathroom scale. Sorting out a mental health concern is not something to attempt on your own. You won't find a bipolar disorder by looking at a thermometer. Like many other health conditions, help for mental illness takes professional diagnosis and treatment. Anxiety won't just go away under a stick-on bandage. So the sooner you seek treatment, the better. If you or a loved one has a mental health concern, don't go it alone. Find out what to do. For 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral, call 1-800-662-HELP. Learn more at samhsa.gov/support. That's samhsa.gov/support.
And welcome back to more of the Sports Life. Will Team here along with Dalton Shetler, visiting with Phil Steele, the guru when it comes to predicting what might happen in the upcoming college football season. And by the way, his book is out, College Football Preview 2026. Phil, before I ask you about the middle of the pack here, you want to tell people where you can get this book?
I appreciate that, Will. Now, the magazine's 376 pages. It's like getting 138 media guides rolled into one, and we give you the same amount of coverage on a team like Sacramento State or Georgia State that we do on Alabama and Ohio State, 2 full pages. Now, it's only available at 2 brick-and-mortar stores. You can only get it at Barnes & Noble and Books A Million. Barnes & Noble, you actually get your choice of covers. So go to Barnes & Noble or Books A Million are the only 2 places. Save your gas money. Don't drive around looking for it. Or you can go online to philsteele.com. And when you go to philsteele.com, we're going to charge you a shipping charge. It costs to ship things, but we also give you the digital magazine for free, and we update the digital magazine all the way through September. So Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, or philsteele.com.
Okay, you have number 4 USC, a team that, historically sounds good, but they haven't won much of late. But is this the year they have a breakout season?
Yeah, and you go back to last year, they had that the tough loss against Illinois on a field goal at the end of the game, which cost them. But still, when they traveled to Autzen Stadium at the end of the year, had they beaten the Ducks on the road, they would have made the playoff last year. This year, they get Oregon at home. And here's what I like about USC. When I talked to Lincoln Riley, first of all, they added Gary Patterson as the defense corner. I think he's one of the best defensive minds in the game. And they have a lot of talent returning on the defensive side of the ball, plus brought in some key pieces in the portal. Coach Riley feels this is the best defense he's had here in his 5 years. Then offensively, they are loaded up front of the offensive line. I'm on the Joe Moore Award Committee, one of the 21 award committees I'm on. I rate them the number 5 offensive line in the country. Running backs, remember, Wayman Jordan went down. They lost their top 2-3 running backs. They had to go to a walk-on last year. All King Miller did was rush for nearly 1,000 yards. Well, Jordan's back. Miller's back. They added in a couple of true freshmen and Shane Alston and Deshaun Rideau. So they're loaded at running back, and they've got the quarterback in Jaden Mayava. Coach Riley told me he feels Mayava could be a first-round draft pick by the time the season ends because he's going to impress folks. And then they get Oregon at home and Ohio State at home. I think if they pull one of those upsets, and they were 7-0 at home last year, all of a sudden you're looking at USC as a playoff team and maybe the team they beat not making the playoffs. So I've got USC circled as a very high chance of making the playoffs.
Oh, that should be fascinating. And, of course, in your rankings of the Big Ten for this upcoming season, USC sits right above a tie for 5th place, that being Michigan and Penn State. And I think what's really fascinating here, Phil, is you've got a couple of new head coaches at these programs. For Michigan, you have Kyle Whittingham coming over from Utah. At Penn State, you have Matt Campbell coming from Iowa State. And I feel like with first-year head coaches at a program, you never really know what you're going to get. Why do you feel so confident about these two? What's the plus side for them both?
Yeah, and wasn't it fascinating when you're watching the hiring process in both cases? Turn down Penn State, turn down Michigan State, turn down, and now they're throwing out names, and you're like, oh my goodness, who are they going to get to be their head coach? And then when Penn State announced Matt Campbell, I was like, wow, what a great hire. This guy gets the most out of the talent on hand. And then the big plus for Matt Campbell is he brought over like half his Iowa State team with him. So while Penn State lost some players to the portal, he brought over 20-plus players, including his quarterback, Rocco Becht, his running back, Carson Hansen, his receiving core, some offensive, some defensive players. They bring in a lot of talent from Iowa State. And his main thing that he benefits from this year is the schedule. No Ohio State, no Oregon, no Indiana. So the schedule is tailor-made for success for Penn State. I think Matt Campbell's a great hire. He brings over the talent from Iowa State, and I think they're top 25 both offense and defensively. And frankly, they were more talented than their 7-6 record last year would indicate. You know, the only 2 games I have an underdog this year are at Michigan and at Washington, both a slight dog. And the USC game, I think, is huge. Which team is going to contend for the top of the Big Ten? I think that USC game, which probably is going to be a whiteout for Penn State. But other than that, the schedule's laid out. It's a 53rd schedule in the country. And with Michigan, like I said, they're naming out names, and you're like, oh, my goodness, who are they going to hire? Then they hire Kyle Whittingham. And to me, this is the perfect marriage because Kyle Whittingham, I've been talking to him all these years at Utah, and he is based on a strong offensive line and a strong defense led by the defensive line. Guess what? He's got that here at Michigan. You look at the offensive line, I rated number 11 in the country, the defensive line number 7. They've got a quarterback in Bryce Underwood who I think they held him back a little bit last year, but you look at Jason Beck and what he's done. Go back 2 years ago in New Mexico. He took over an offense, and I put all the pieces together, and I'm like, well, New Mexico's not going to be very good offensively. offensively. They were explosive with Devin Dampier running the show. They went to Utah last year, had the best running game in the country, and Beck is over here. I think you're going to unleash Bryce Underwood this year, and also was impressed with Tommy Carr as the backup in the spring. They've got talent at receiver. Andrew Marsh is a guy that emerged as a freshman last year. So this is a talented Michigan team. Now, their schedule is not so forgiving. It's the second toughest in the country. I think Michigan jumps out to a 7-0 start this year, but then they have to play Indiana, at Oregon, and at Ohio State down the stretch. So a tough finish, but one upset in those three, and they're a playoff contender, so I'm high on both teams.
Well, what do you think as you move down the list, Washington? You got them in a tie for 7th with Iowa. What do you think about the Huskies?
You know, I like DeMond Williams at quarterback, and, there's going to be some talk about, Williams entered the portal and all that. No, that's long gone. Water under the bridge. DeMond Williams is the leader of the team. Team loves him. He's back, and he's going to have a big year. They do lose some running backs from last year, but I like the players they've got there. Quade Carr, Jaden Lamar. You look at the offensive line. Once again, I like offensive line. They get my number 21 offensive line in the country, and defensively, all three units rank in my top 25. So this is a good offense. Now, the one thing we saw from Washington last year was in their wins, they averaged 45 points per game, but they did lose 4 games, and in those 4 games, they only averaged 9 points per game. So they're going to have to be a little more consistent on offense when they're playing the big boys. They do have to play USC on the road, Nebraska on the road, and then I think week 10, Washington's in the mix for a playoff. And then they host Indiana and travel to Oregon. And I think that might either knock them out of the playoff or put them in. But they're a dangerous team. And each year, Jed Fish's first year, he took over a team, and I probably shared this story with you last year when we asked Washington in 2024 for pictures for the team from players that played last year. They're like, we don't have any. Basically, the whole team was gone, and he was signed late. I thought he did a great job getting them to 6 wins the first year. They improved last year to 9 wins. I think they're a contender. A lot's going to determine how they fare in those final 2 games.
Well, Phil, let's ask, too, about the other team that you have tied with Washington there for 7th place, and that being the Iowa Hawkeyes. In Iowa, year over year, we know Phil Parker's going to run just an elite defense. We know special teams is going to be knocked out of the park, even though LeVar Woods now has actually left for East Lansing as the special teams coach. But overall, the bugaboo for the Hawkeyes has been throwing the football and putting up points. Is this a year it breaks out, or are you inclined to believe that it kind of goes back to default?
Yeah, well, last year they did put up 29 points per game, so they did improve last year. And, here's the thing I want to point out about Iowa last year. Let's look at their 4 losses. Their 4 losses last year were by 5, 2, 5, and 3 points. They were basically 1 play or 4 plays away from being undefeated last year. They don't do it flashy-wise. And I got to be honest with you, most teams, with the amount of losses this team has, they only have 3 starters back on defense from last year's squad. They only have 5 starters back on offense. They lose their quarterback. They lose 2 of their top 3 receivers. And they lose their entire special teams, their kicker, punter, kick returner, punt returner, special teams coach. Normally I would move them back down the line, but is Kirk Ferentz still the head coach there? Yes. And so they're going to work some magic. Is Phil Parker still the defense coordinator there? Yes. They're going to have a solid team. And I like the replacements at quarterback. I think Hank Brown, Jeremy Helinski, they're not going to throw for 3,000 yards. They don't need to in the Iowa offense, but I do like the run game. The offensive line, which won the Joe Moore Award last year, is still top-notch. They've got 2 starters back. I rated number 15. No questions about a Phil Parker defense ever. And they've got talent there, especially in the back end. And the special teams, I think they'll actually get rolling. Now, what I don't like is a 3-game stretch from September 26th to October 10th. At Michigan, home to Ohio State, at Washington. Those are all brutal. But remember, last year they played Oregon, they played USC, they played Indiana, and all those games were close. So this is a team that you don't match them up talent-wise, but as long as Kirk Ferentz is patrolling the sidelines, they've got a chance in the Big Ten.
28 years he's been the head coach. There's no head coach in college football at the major level. It's been at one school as long as he has been. Well, as
long as my magazine's been around, Will.
I know. You guys should go to lunch and reminisce on stuff.
Yeah. One of my favorite calls every year, though. He's a great guy.
Great guy. So, one of the most intriguing teams as I look at the guys you've grouped at 9th in the Big Ten, Nebraska. Matt Rule's in his 4th season. He's only 19-19. Every time you think he gets it rolling, something happens at the end of the year. What do you think about these guys?
Yeah, and last year, I think I went on the Big Ten Network, and they said, give me a team that you think is going to surprise in the Big Ten, and said it's going to be Nebraska. I was pretty happy when they were 7-3, and they looked great, and then that finish, boy, 3 blowout losses to end the season. But remember, they did lose their quarterback, so T.J. Lateef was thrown into the fire. I thought he did well in his first start against UCLA, then played some pretty good competition down the stretch. Penn State's defense, Iowa's defense, Utah's defense. Those are 3 really good defenses down the stretch, which they struggled. The thing I like about Nebraska this year is they're going to have a mobile quarterback. Anthony Calandria comes in, and he really impressed me. I saw him at Virginia, and then he went to UNLV last year, and last year in the 4th quarter he was dynamic. He was the Mountain West Player of the Year. Brings that mobility to the quarterback position, which Dana Holgerson likes. But the thing I also like is their depth there. T.J. Lateef now has experience, and after facing those 3 defenses I just mentioned, he's seen a lot, so nothing's going to faze him. And he's another mobile quarterback that can, if something happened to Calandria, he could take over. And then Daniel Kalin is a guy that was been battling for Nebraska's job. He almost won the Virginia starting quarterback job last year. He's back at Nebraska. So they've got 3 guys that can run the ball from the quarterback position. I think that's a big plus. I do like the offensive line. I think they have 2 NFL guys, Paul Mabenga and Elijah Pritchett. You look at the receiving core. They bring in Quasi Gilmore from UCLA, who I think will have an impact, much like Isaiah Hunter did coming in from Cal last year. And the running backs are deep. It's going to be like a running back by committee, though. They do lose Emmett Johnson, who was the star of the offense. Defensively, good talent throughout. I rate all 3 units in my top units. Defensive backs are the strength at number 15, and the special teams is solid. But Nebraska had a schedule tailor-made last year. This year the schedule's a little bit tougher. They play, I think they'll open up 5-0. Good start to the year. But then home to Indiana, they'll be a dog. At Oregon, they'll be a dog. At Illinois, they'll be a dog. Ohio State at home, they'll be a dog. And at Iowa, they'll be a dog. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to lose those games, but it's been a long time since they've won a ranked game. I think 2015, 16, something in that area since they beat a ranked team. I'm going to call for them to beat a ranked team this year, but with that schedule, I don't see them moving up too much in the ranking in the schedule. But great hire by Matt Rule. He'll have them contending for a Big 10 title in the near future.
Well, interesting thing, Phil, Nebraska, we think about how great they were at one time.
Wow.
They haven't won a championship, and you got to go back to the Big 12. The last title they won was 1999. So it's been a while.
Yeah, and that was Frank Solich. And remember, they let Frank Solich go after 12-1, 10-2, 11-2, 10-3. They're like, that's not Nebraska football. They're longing for the Frank Solich years, and he did a great job at Ohio U as well.
No doubt about that. But when we come back with more of our conversation with Phil Steele, we're going to take a look at the rest of the Big Ten, and he's going to explain how he's ranked, what team, and why. Back with more in just a moment.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Dad. Did you get a new haircut or something? A new shirt? You're looking good.
What happened?
A little fender bender?
How little?
A few days in the shop little, but thanks to Mom and our agent, we've already submitted a claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Sounds like simple human sense.
I'm fine, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna ask.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
So I graduated last year and got a job. Sweet! But it got boring. I didn't really have a purpose. Then I started volunteering with Community Action. It's a statewide network with 29 agencies across Michigan. Community Action helps people with food, housing, utilities, childcare, senior services, you name it. I found my purpose, helping people, changing lives. Won't you join me? Call 1-855-MI-ACTION or go to MichiganCommunityAction.org. Sponsored by Michigan Community Action and Michigan Association of Broadcasters.
This is a potter's field. When people can't pay for their funerals, they are buried here. It is a lonely, desolate place, littered with unmarked headstones. No one visits. No one leaves flowers. But it doesn't have to be that way. For as low as $1 a day, you can ensure your family will have the money to pay your funeral expenses. We offer burial insurance plans that pay up to $30,000. Considering the average funeral costs more than $10,000, that's peace of mind for your family. There are no medical exams, your rates won't increase, and your policy cannot be canceled as long as you make your premium payments. Call now to get approved in minutes and ensure your final resting place is more than just a pauper's grave in a potter's field.
800-562-2407. 800-562-2407. 800-562-2407. That's 800-562-2407. Paid for by Final Expense Direct.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
We all make choices. When it comes to alcohol, kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad.
Bye-bye.
Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Hey, have a seat for a second. Remind me about that party again?
Alex is just...
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. They want guidance and honest answers to their questions. And it makes a difference when the message is consistent and part of everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
And welcome back to more of the Sports Life. We'll team in here along with Dalton Shetler. Fun show today. We're visiting with Phil Steele. He's the guy who puts together the college football preview. And we're going through his rankings of the Big Ten preseason. And we left off in Nebraska, but Phil, you got two other guys tied for ninth. You got Minnesota and you got Illinois.
Yeah, with P.J. Fleck, I like the fact they've got a veteran quarterback in Drake Lindsey. Darius Taylor was not 100% last year. I look for him to get back to his 1,000-yard form. And on the offensive line, they've got Greg Johnson, an All-American candidate. Defensive line, Anthony Smith, an All-American candidate. I think the Gophers are going to cause some problems this year. P.J. Fleck was very confident in this year's squad.
Let's jump over to Champaign then. The other team, the Fighting Illini, led by Brett Bielema, had a big year, but they've lost some experience. What do you expect from Illinois?
Yeah, I think losing Luke Altmaier was big. He had a huge year last year with a 22-5 ratio. Last year, Illinois was number 3 on my experience chart. This year, they're all the way down to number 79, so those are all question marks. But this is another one where Brett Bielema gets the most out of the talent on hand. I like the pickup of Caden Hauser at quarterback. They're so deep at running back that they moved Caden Fegan to tight end. So they've got Valentine and Lowry back at running back, a couple NFL prospects. He'll develop the offensive line. The defense has talent with Matthew Bailey. I may have picked them a little lower than I should have, but they are less experienced than last year's squad, and they're coming in with less fanfare than they did last year.
Well, I forgot to do this, and I should do this before we hit who you have at number 12. Don't forget auto owners insurance, simple human sense. Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you. Well, Phil, one of the intriguing teams for me is Wisconsin. You got them tied for 12th heading into the Big Ten. Luke Fickell heading into his 4th season, a losing record of 17-21. They've had some moments, so what do you think? Is this a year they can bounce back?
Yeah, with Coach Fickell going over the team, first of all, he's got to keep a quarterback healthy for once. Have you ever seen a new head coach step in his first 3 years? He loses his starting quarterback in the first 3 games every single year. And then last year, all he did was battle the toughest schedule in the country. And I'll be honest with you, I was doing a couple of shows last year towards the end of the year, and like, who are they going to get to replace Luke Fickell? I'm like, if I was the AD, I would sign Luke Fickell because I think he's a heck of a coach. He just has been dealt a rough hand. Well, guess what? The dealer just gave him a better hand this year. They have a much better schedule. The number 32 as opposed to number 1. Hopefully he keeps his quarterback healthy, and I like Colton Joseph. He ran for a couple of touchdowns against Indiana last year when he was at Old Dominion. I think he brings the mobility factor there, and they have talent throughout. I really like their linebacking core with Poza and Catalano. So much better year for Wisconsin. It's going to be a rough start to the year. They may be flirting with maybe even a losing record heading into November. I think they win their final 4 games, get to a bowl game, and Luke Fickell has a much better year this season.
Let's go to another team that's tied for 12th in your rankings for the Big Ten, Northwestern, led again by David Braun as the head coach. This coaching staff is just star-studded. Chip Kelly comes over as the offensive coordinator. Jerry Neuheisel, who was just the media darling last year in UCLA's resurgence on the back half of their season, he's their quarterbacks coach. They get Aiden Childs to transfer over. What's your outlook for the Wildcats?
And love the job that David Braun's doing. 2 times he's got him to winning records when nobody expected him. And I love the pickup of Aiden Childs from Michigan State. I think in this offense he'll do well. And in the front of my magazine, now list the top units. It's a rare year when Northwestern is in my top units in 7 of the 8 categories. So they have talent on this year's squad, and Braun will get the most out of it. Now, the schedule's not easy. It's the 14th toughest in the country, but they'll pull an upset or 2. I think they get back to a bowl game this year, and I love their offensive line and run game last year. That was dynamic, and they bring back both Komalafi and Hyman, plus they add in Gavin Sawchuk from Florida State, so they're going to have a strong run game once again.
Which you mentioned, they got a brand new stadium as well. They're going to open up the new Ryan Field, 35,000 seats, only cost them $862 million. The opening game, October 2nd against Penn State. Well, we've talked about number 12, Wisconsin, number 12, Northwestern. What about UCLA with their brand new coach?
Yeah, once again, in today's market, what you do is you bring in a new head coach and he brings a bunch of players with him. And how can a James Madison coach step up to the Big Ten and bring in James Madison players? How's that going to work out, guys?
Yeah, right. It'll never work.
But, Bob Chesney comes in. He brings over Wayne Knight at running back. He brings over a bunch of players from James Madison. But here's the beautiful thing. He's throwing them on top of an experienced team. Now, UCLA was already number 10 on my experience chart. They've got Nico Iamaleava back at the quarterback position. They have a lot of talent returning from last year's squad. Sort of reminds me a little bit of Texas Tech. Texas Tech had a big transfer portal class on top of my number 5 most experienced class last year, and they did well. Now, UCLA did have some ground to make up, but this team definitely makes a bowl game. They're my number 5 on my most improved list this year. They do have to play Oregon on the road, Minnesota on the road, Michigan on the road, but I could see them not only doubling last year's record, but getting up to that 8 or 9 win level. I'm high on the Bruins this year, much improved.
Well, Phil, let's jump to number 15 in your Big Ten rankings in your magazine. Let's take a look at the Maryland Terrapins. And this is a group where Mike Loxley, who's well tenured there in College Park now, was able to retain Malik Washington as quarterback, and I think that might have been the biggest win for him and the Terps this offseason.
Yeah, not only Washington, but a lot of key players, especially on the defensive line. They had a couple of guys that were heavy in the sacks last year, retained them both. This is another team high on my experience chart. Number 2, they were a freshman-led team last year, and they did open up 4-0 and nearly blew a lead against Washington, blew a lead against Nebraska, lost by 3 to UCLA, and then the bottom fell out last year. But I was impressed by Malik Washington. Overall, this is a much more experienced team. They go from number 132 to number 2. I think they're dangerous. They should get off to a good start. They could be 3-1 or 4-0 to start the season, which means they'll be playing with confidence. They just got to finish a little bit stronger this year. But I think this shows some good depth in the Big Ten. Maryland's a bowl-caliber team.
And I think, Phil, a key for them is going to be they have a stretch with Purdue, Wisconsin, Nebraska, UCLA, Rutgers. If they can somehow get through that in one piece, maybe they actually have a winning record. What do you think?
Yeah, there's no doubt they have that opportunity. I've got them favored against Hampton, UConn, pickup game against Virginia, home against UCLA favored. It's a long road trip for UCLA. Rutgers at home. Illinois at home is a pickup game. Wisconsin's a pickup game. Purdue on the road. So I only have them a true underdog in 4 of their 8 games this year, and I've got 2 toss-up games on the schedule. So a bowl is likely.
Well, what do you think about number 16, Rutgers?
Yeah, I love the job Greg Schiano's doing there. He's building his team the right way, and Lonergan coming in from Boston College is probably going to be the key how he plays, but they've got Antoine Raymond back at running back. KJ Duff at receiver is back. Their offense was so much improved last year, and the defense is going to be better. Their problem last year, they gave up 6.8 yards per carry on the ground. You can't do that. Coach Steele is going to get that fixed, but they also have a tough schedule this year. They're going to be an underdog in a bunch of games. I do like the job he's doing there, but he probably doesn't have the NIL money that some of the other teams have.
So, 17 Michigan State with its new coach, Pat Fitzgerald, and then 18 Purdue, a team that has not won a Big Ten game in 2 seasons. So what do you think about these guys?
A little higher on Michigan State. Love the hire of Pat Fitzgerald. Love the fact he retained Joe Rossi as defensive coordinator. I think he's one of the better defensive coordinators out there. How the heck did he sign LeVar Woods, away from Iowa? He's the best special teams coordinator out there. He was my special teams coach of the year last year, and now here he is with Pat Fitzgerald. They've got a quarterback that performed well, especially late in the year, and Milojevic. And you look at Cam Edwards coming in from UConn, a 1,000-yard rusher. When I talked to Coach Fitzgerald, he liked the way the offensive line came together in the spring. Defensively, their linebacking core is huge. These guys are like 245, 250 pounds, and they're deep at linebacker. And Pat Fitzgerald knows a thing or two about linebacking. So a tough schedule, but I think Michigan State has a chance to potentially break through. But first-year head coach, a lot of players. I think they had 43 players hit the transfer portal last year, so it's practically a brand-new team. I think it's a rebuilding year. And with Purdue, they're going to be better this year, but once again, they are a transfer portal-heavy team. I did an article at Semi Magazine on the homegrown page, or right at the start of the Big Ten write-up. It's called the homegrown factor. Teams that are mostly your freshmen that you recruited, you use the portal, but you don't rely on the portal. Purdue's relied on the portal the last 2 years, and I think it's going to take them another rebuilding year this year.
Well, Phil, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, Will, Dalton, it's always a lot of fun talking Big Ten football with you guys.
Phil Steele talking about the Big Ten coming up in 2026. You can catch it all in his college football preview, the 32nd edition. Back with our parting shots in just a moment.
So, got one for you, boss.
Oh, yeah?
What's black, white, and dented all over?
I give up.
The company truck. I know, but thanks to our agent, we've already submitted an insurance claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Lucky for you, that's simple human sense.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
So I graduated last year and got a job. Sweet! But it got boring. I didn't really have a purpose. Then I started volunteering with Community Action. It's a statewide network with 29 agencies across Michigan. Community Action helps people with food, housing, utilities, childcare, senior services, you name it. I found my purpose, helping people, changing lives. Won't you join me? Call 1-855-MI-ACTION or go to MichiganCommunityAction.org. Sponsored by Michigan Community Action and Michigan Association of Broadcasters.
If you have diabetes, listen up. If you have insurance, you can qualify for a continuous glucose monitor. With a CGM, you can continuously track your levels and trends and spend more time in range, significantly lowering your A1C. More importantly, a CGM eliminates the one thing most people with diabetes hate: painful finger sticks. Order your new continuous glucose monitor today. If you use insulin and if you've seen your diabetes care provider within the last 6 months, you may qualify for your own CGM right now. We'll do all the insurance paperwork and deliver your new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. Medicare and most insurances will cover your CGM, so don't wait. Have your insurance handy and call the Aptiva Medical CGM Health Hotline right now.
800-948-6912. 800-948-6912. 800-948-6912. That's 800-948-6912.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Anybody ready for a burger?
I'm State Fire Marshal Rich Miller, reminding everyone to think safety first when it comes to outdoor grilling, whether it's charcoal or gas. Never overload your grill with food. Excess fat and grease will create large flames. Grill outdoors and never inside or in a garage. Never leave a grill unattended, and always keep a fire extinguisher nearby. For more tips on safe grilling, visit the Bureau of Fire Services website at michigan.gov/BFS.
Medicaid and CHIP offer free or low-cost health coverage for children and teens. Hospital and doctor visits, prescriptions, shots, and more are covered. That's peace of mind for parents if a child is sick or gets injured. And parents may now be eligible for Medicaid too, even if they've applied in the past. Enrollment is always open. Visit InsureKidsNow.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Tiemann here along with Dalton Shetler. Fun show with Phil Steele and his magazine projecting what may or may not happen this year in college football. He's such a good interview. It's so much fun talking with him. So we have now worked our way to our parting shots. What do you got?
Well, by the way, if you missed any of that conversation, make sure to give us a follow at Sports Life Now on Twitter or X. That's again at Sports Life Now. You can hear the entire show with Phil Steele. For my parting shot, I wanted to analyze a couple of things with Big Ten football here, Will. One being the last three national champions come from the Big Ten Conference: Michigan, Ohio State, Indiana. And I think one of the things that's pretty interesting as you head into the 2026 season, I think Phil Steele's pretty high on three teams at the top. I think a lot of publications are pretty high on three teams at the top. They're high on Ohio State, they're high on Indiana, and they're high on Oregon. Does Oregon finally get its breakthrough moment in the Big Ten where they end up being the next national champion? I think that's a really fun story to kind of follow and see because the other two have accomplished it in the last 2 years.
And I think they could.
I think they could too. But the other thing too that I find pretty interesting, after those three, who's number four? And I think, like, as we've talked about, Will, in the last couple of Sports Life shows, it's really interesting to follow along some of these different parts of Big Ten football. I think grading that next tier and seeing who's able to climb the ladder to be at the top of that, I think that's going to be a fun journey. Will it be USC? Does Michigan have a bounce back with Kyle Whittingham? Does Iowa break through and surprise some folks? Like, I think there are a lot of great storylines in that. Who's going to be at the top of that next tier?
I agree. And one thing for sure, whatever we think we know today doesn't always work out.
That's right.
Now, I think that the top three works out for me.
Yeah.
It's got to be one of those guys, right?
It feels like it.
But the thing I think might be intriguing is, say, Nebraska. They have had collapse after collapse at the end of the season, and Matt Rule, the head coach, who's known for turning things. He's heading into his fourth year, and his collective record is 19-19. The schedule's not bad for them, so what happens if they collapse again? Or is this a year that maybe the Matt Rule magic takes place? What about Purdue? They were 0-9 last year in the conference. I'm projecting a win.
Hey, I like it. Get off the schneid.
Can they get going? And what about Maryland? They were 1-8 last year. They always seem to start well, and they don't end so well. So for Mike Locksley, entering his 9th season, does he need a breakout year? So I guess what I'm saying, any of these people, could the surprise story be not the collapse, but maybe the rise? And what about Wisconsin? What about Northwestern? All these 50-50 kind of schedules and teams. I mean, will Wisconsin score this year? I mean, look at what Northwestern did with this offensive coaching staff. Are they going to score a bunch of points? I mean, these are the fun stories, I think, in the Big Ten, Dalton. Maybe not so much at the top, but the rest of it, I think, is going to be fun to watch. And with that, as always, we appreciate everybody who tuned in this week. And we should also note that you can find us wherever you find your podcasts, like SoundCloud, Spotify, and Apple. And make sure to check us out and hit subscribe. As always, thanks to the Big Ten Network. The Sports Life is produced by Dalton Shetler. Our executive producer is Wendy Hart. So on behalf of Dalton, I'm Will Tiemann, and thanks for your time.